Hello, I'm Graham Norton. We've got a great lineup on tonight's show, including the fabulous Colin Farrell.
Whoa, no! I told you, Dawn, this is my bit. Thank you, and thank you. Hello, I'm Graham Norton. We've got a great lineup on tonight's show, including the fabulous Colin Farrell.
Very good. Let's start the show.
You've seen, ladies and gentlemen, so much top totty on the sofa tonight. And later, going to get even steamier, ladies and gentlemen, because Rod Stewart's joining us. Yes, he is. Rod Stewart, you over there? Rod Stewart, yeah. Rod always looks so fabulous over the decades, you know. And the thing I've noticed is his hair has always liked to pay homage to so many style icons. For instance, Dusty Springfield. There you go. Then there's the Bonnie Tyler. Yeah. Complete with leggings. I like that. It's very good. And perhaps my favourite of all. Yes, it's the Gloria Hunniford, ladies and gentlemen. It's beautiful, that's his son. Hey, let's get my first set of guests on. He's gone from computer geek to the IT crowd to Hollywood chic in films like Bridesmaids and This Is 40. Now starring in the Lance Armstrong biopic, The Programme, please welcome Mr. Chris O'Dowd. Thank you very much. She's a comedy genius who's tickled the nation for over 30 years and now transformed herself into a hugely successful novelist. It is the divine Dawn French! Hey! Air miles. Come in and sit down, Dawn French.
Thank you.
She starred in the action franchise The Mummy, won an Oscar for her turn in The Constant Gardener. Please welcome Rachel Weisz, everybody! There she is. Hello. How are you? Lovely to see you. Rachel Weisz. And starring with Rachel in the new dark romantic comedy The Lobster, a great Irish actor who's given us films as diverse as In Bruges, Minority Report and Saving Mr. Banks. It is the one and only Colin Farrell, everybody! How many times can I meet you? Hello. Sit down. Welcome all! And of course, Rachel and Dawn.
Yes.
Here you are on my sofa tonight in a sort of club Irish sandwich. Look at this.
I like it.
Right.
It's good, right?
I like it.
It's good.
With
yes.
filling.
Yes. And what's glamorous?
Soda bread meets soda bread. Yeah.
Soda bread meets pasty.
Lovely, a pasty sandwich.
Yeah.
Oh, let's order out.
Don't think I ever tried that, because I have.
Because Chris O'Dowd, very handsome man. Very handsome.
Oh.
But Colin Farrell, beautiful.
Right.
Beautiful
That's
man.
fair, yeah.
You're a beautiful man.
Thank you for recognising the distinction.
You are, no, you're a beautiful man.
Hey, Graham, get a room.
I'm in it. The whole show is a ruse. No, but I feel, though, Colin, sometimes you...
I feel too, Graham.
You fight your own beauty. You fight your beauty, and you often use the medium of hair to fight your own beauty.
I've had some of the worst hairdos in film.
Do you really have?
Yeah, no, genuine. Like, if Empire Magazine did top 10 worst hairdos in film, I'm definitely 3 of those.
Sometimes they're intentional. Like, Horrible Bosses is intentional, and that's...
Oh, yeah.
That wasn't one of the 3 I was talking about. Seriously.
But a movie I love, Home at the End of the World.
Oh, thanks.
It's just such a good movie, and you're so good in it. However, that's had to be hampered, I feel.
Oh, yes, that's bad. Wow.
I mean, that's a testament to what a mess I was at the time that I actually stood in front of a camera with that on my head.
I believe I've gone to dinner with her.
But then I think your most famous is, of course, this one in Alexander. Which...
Oh. There's worse pictures than that from Alexander. That's actually not bad. That was my Doris Day look.
Yeah.
Because you're so not a blonde. I mean, it did seem a big decision to make. Or was Alexander famously blonde?
He was famously blonde, yeah, golden locked child, but he shouldn't have been. He should have been brunette. For sure. And maybe he shouldn't have had an Irish accent. Only from the 7,000 reviews I read him.
Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has an opinion. But now, also, Chris, it's quite nice that we sat beside Dawn, because then it's like being at home sitting on the sofa.
With the hair and everything. I mean...
It is the same, because, yes.
Well, I think I had the hair first, I have to say. I'm quite a lot older than his Dawn.
Dawn O'Porter, your wife.
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Oh, that's her there now.
Yeah. Oh,
it is the same hair.
No, look at us. Quite similar.
It is very similar.
This is what you're going to be looking at in another 20 years' time.
Oh.
This is it.
I'll be on wife 3 by then.
Makes you feel so special.
But Dawn might move on because... other Dawn.
Yeah.
Because she likes meeting men, it seems, even in your presence, Chris.
No. Oh, yeah, she does.
She does?
She does. Well, like anybody would. We've had a couple of things where, So, we met Brad Pitt, right?
See?
At the BAFTAs, I think it was. He came over and he was... we were having a chat about something or other. And he was very nice. And I introduced him to Dawn, and they shook hands. And then we kind of kept on talking. And then he started talking to somebody else or whatever. And then after a while, I looked down and I realised that she was still holding 2 of his fingers. And I was like, we better go to our seats. And I was like, OK. And she said, 41 seconds. I said, what? That's how long I held him for. And then a couple of weeks after that, we went for some other kind of awards dinner, and Bradley Cooper was there. Very nice guy, very kind of personable. Yeah, it's a Who. That's how attractive he is. And we were leaving, and she was getting her phone out of her bag, and I noticed something sparkling in it. And I realised that she had stolen his fork. And she said that she was going to auction it for charity or something. But every now and again at home, I see her eating with it. It's hard to feel like a sex symbol when your wife is using another man's cutlery.
So she only managed, with Brad Pitt, she only managed to hold on to his fingers, though, did
That's
she?
right.
So hands up, everybody here who's actually been kissed on the lips by Brad Pitt.
Whoa.
I was just in a dream.
Now, we must talk about The Lobster, ladies and gentlemen. It opens tonight, The Lobster, and Rachel and Colin star in it. It's had rave reviews. It won the jury prize at Cannes. Yeah. And I loved it. And it's one of those things, in this moment, I don't envy you both. Because,
having to talk about it?
Because it's a very hard film. It's great to watch.
Yeah.
And afterwards you come out going, that was great. But it's quite hard to explain to anyone what the hell happens. So, good luck.
Rachel's really good at explaining what happens in the film. I still am fully sure. But...
Well, it's sci-fi, but no spaceships or special effects. It's set in a world that looks like our world, but there are different rules. Rules are you have to live in a couple. If you don't live in a couple, you get sent to a hotel. We have 45 days to find a mate, and if you don't find a mate, you'll get turned into an animal of your choosing. Colin's character, David, says he would be a lobster. Yeah. But he escapes from the hotel into the woods where there are loners, and I'm a loner, and the rules of that universe are that you have to live alone. You're not allowed to be in a couple. But Colin's character, David, and myself, we fall in love. So it's a very romantic film because it's about love transcending obstacles of, stuff getting in the way of falling in love.
Is that what you got out of it?
See it now?
Is that what you got out of it?
Oh, well, that's just the
amazing.
Story. I mean, you can interpret it any way you like.
That was amazing.
Let's see what...
I thought it was like an ad for being single. Yeah.
Well, I see what you mean.
But also, it's very funny. There's lots of kind of laugh-out-loud bits.
Oh, yeah, it's a comedy.
Yeah, but then there's very dark bits, too.
Yeah, it's very violent and very absurd.
And...
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
What's weird is, before you started all of this, it sounded like it was going to be confusing. But you've nailed it.
I'll tell you what, let's pause for a clip. So Colin has escaped the hotel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gone into the woods, met your character, Rachel, and you're trying to keep your relationship a secret because there were terrible consequences if they find out that you...
Terrible
kiss.
consequences. If you're caught
flirt.
flirting, you get a thing called the red kiss, which your lips are slashed with a razor blade and you're made to kiss each other and see how really much...
It's funnier than that, OK? And you don't see that
That's
happen.
the comedic apex of the whole...
You don't see that happen.
No, you just see somebody with a bandage on his lips and red blood coming through, and I ask him what happened to him. And he
It's a
obviously-
very romantic
That's a funny
film.
bit. God.
Anyway, this is the two of you trying to keep your relationship a secret by developing a sign language.
We've developed a code so that we can communicate with each other, even in front of the others, without them knowing what we are saying. When we turn our heads to the left, it means, I love you more than anything in the world. And when we turn our heads to the right, it means, watch out, we're in danger. We had to be very careful in the beginning not to mix up, I love you more than anything in the world with, watch out, we're in danger. When we raise our left arm, it means, I want to dance in your arms. When we make a fist and put it behind our backs, it means, let's fuck. The code grew and grew as time went by, and within a few weeks, we could talk about almost anything without even opening our mouths.
Lobster thing. So, can you explain why your character thought being a lobster was a good idea?
Because lobsters live to be a ripe old age and they stay fertile for the rest of their lives, and they have blue blood like aristocrats, I believe was the line, but I don't understand what any of that means. I just said it.
Yeah, but also you like swimming as well.
Yeah, well, do lobsters swim? They more.
Well, I must say, I didn't think so, but you.
They scuttle. Did I say? Oh, he said he was a good swimmer. I think he likes being in the water. Bless him.
And Rachel, we never find out what you would have been. What would you be?
I would like to be a pony owned by a 13-year-old girl in England. Actually, by me when I was 13. I didn't have one, but I would be loved and ridden a lot, and, you know. I don't know.
Just leave it.
I want everyone at home to promise not to clip that bit.
Leave it.
Did you pick an animal?
Well, I know. Well, you'd like to be something. I was surprised. Not everyone. Why do you not just choose to be monkeys? Because then you're so close to still being people.
No one's ever said that. We've asked this question a lot. You're the first monkey.
Because monkeys can drive cars, they can play the piano, they can go to space, they can come back.
Yeah,
they can go to space.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer, ladies and gentlemen.
Why didn't anyone think about it?
I believe it's the sequel to The Lobster. Planet of the Apes.
Yes. Throwing shit at Rachel for 2 hours, it's going to be great.
Hey, Rachel.
Dawn French. Oh, so busy.
Yes.
A new novel. Your third novel.
Yes,
third novel.
indeed.
I've got it here.
I've got it in your cupboard.
Yes, according to Yes.
Yes.
And what strikes me about this is that you don't hear your voice anymore. You know,
okay.
it's a novel by a writer.
OK, thanks.
Did you find
slightly grown up?
Well, did you find this one easier to write? Did you come to this thinking, well, I know what I'm doing?
Well, I mean, as you say, the other novels I've written in diary form or monologue form, and I decided, no, I really can write people talking to each other in chapters with sentences that is a bit more grown up. And this was an idea, actually, I had a lot of years ago, because I went to school in New York, but I ran out of money very quickly. I mean, I took 200 quid that I'd earned as a chambermaid with me in my pocket, thought that would last me a year. No. And do you know why it didn't last me a year? Because they sell pizza in slices on every corner. They just got bigger, bigger, bigger. Ran out of money and decided in order to be able to stay, I had to get a job. So I used to be a nanny and look after people's kids. I've never looked after anyone's kid ever in my life. I can't believe that people entrust you with their children when you've got no qualifications whatsoever. And they give me the keys to their apartments. And so I would be picking up their little kids from school, taking them home, cooking for them, waiting till Mum and Dad got home, or whatever. And one little kid that I looked after, his parents were getting divorced. And so I was right on the inside, the very intimate inside of their family life, and saw things and heard things that I really shouldn't have known. And so that was my kind of starting point for that book.
And we don't want to give anything away.
No.
But the nanny in this book But social services wouldn't be thrilled with everything she does.
No, she, well, she decides to live her life according to yes, because she, you know, she's running away from some secrets and some sorrows, and she decides to have a kind of more liberal life and to say yes to more things. And she certainly does say yes to
Yes, she
some very
does.
saucy things.
I know.
So
I blushed.
It's the first time I've ever written sex like this. It was extraordinary. And I found myself in my house in Cornwall, on my own, in my
Thinking of Chris O'Dowd.
shutting, thinking of you. And you. I would actually shut the door because I felt quite embarrassed about doing the writing. How funny is that? I just shut the door on my life so that I could write it and go right into my sort of carnal head.
Yeah.
And obviously being a nanny is very different from being a parent.
Yeah.
And I heard you talk about that when you were bringing up Billy, one of the things, she couldn't quite get her head around what you and Lenny did.
Yeah. It's true. She was asked at school when she was about 7 what her parents did, and she said that her dad was a chef and her mum was a vicar. Which was sort of true, but it made me realise that I hadn't really explained what the jobs were, you know. She just decided she'd visited the sets, and that's what she decided.
Because, Rachel, your son Henry has a kind of a similar... There's you, and then there's this other woman.
Yeah, he actually has never seen any of my films. He's completely, delightfully, totally uninterested in seeing any of them, even though now he's 9 and he would be able to see, for instance, The Mummy, but he's just not interested. So he's never seen The Other Woman.
He's going to love The Lobster.
Go upstairs, gonna dig it. Yeah.
And now, Colin, you've got a son Henry as well.
I have a son Henry as well, yeah.
And now, was it Father's Day when... Who sent you the text? Because he can't have sent you the text.
He's not texting yet with his 6-year-old fingers. I'm sure some 6-year-olds are texting and rapidly. But he is tweeting. No, he's not tweeting. Basically, on Father's Day, they asked, the teachers asked the kids in his class, we're going to come around you all, and any of you who have fathers, that is, and ask you what you want to say to your dads, and then we'll transcribe it. And so they sent home a letter, which spontaneously I happen to have queued up on my phone. And because I was asked to read it, because it's just kind of gorgeous and ridiculous.
So he dictated this to the teacher?
Yeah.
And,
it says,
how old was he when he wrote this?
He was 4 when he said these words.
Okay.
And he said, my dad, he's a lot of fun, and I like him a lot. He has blonde hair... and he's very handsome and wears a good shirt, good pants and good shoes. We play and I watch a movie with him and my mommy is in it and I am in it in the sky, he says that. That's because I met his mother on a film. But yeah, but the bit about the blonde hair had me a little obviously concerned and I was going to reach out for a home kit paternity test. But... Can you imagine the teacher's reaction when he said that as well? But maybe saw Alexander. No, because he still talks to me.
Okay.
Because Chris O'Dowd quite new to the father. What is it, 8 months, you say?
Eight and a half months.
But you, in that very modern way, you announced the birth via Twitter.
Yes. Well, while she was crowning. No. In the subsequent days. Selfie.
But you did post a picture.
We did. And luckily, the baby looked exactly like equidistant between us physically. And we thought that people should see it.
I've got the picture here. There.
She is beautiful.
Now, but this is genius. People are going to steal this idea because you are preparing a treat for Art's future, aren't you?
Oh, God, I've got this great thing going.
This is brilliant.
So I'm playing a long-form joke on him where I live in a quite Latino part of California at the moment. And the park where I walk my dog, I've kind of befriended a bunch of families in the area, and there's a particular family that have a picnic there kind of most days. And I've started bringing the baby there and having him sit with them. And I've taken a picture. And I've taken a bunch of pictures. And the plan is I'm getting them developed. And in the future, I'm going to put them behind photo frame, like in photo frames behind other pictures around our house. With the hope that, like, at some stage, he'll be, you know, when he's 16, 17, I need a picture frame for something if such a thing still exists. And I'm like, oh, just take one from upstairs. And it will come out, and he'll think he's adopted.
And here's the thing. He will never believe you when you say... He'll believe you a bit when you say it's a joke, but not really because it's so bonkers to wait 16 years for a punchline.
No, it was a joke that we were doing.
The joke will be on you when he asks to be returned.
Yeah, as you watch him spend the rest of his life trying to find his birth parents. Now, Chris Haddad's new film, it's called The Programme, and it's out tonight. And this is Stephen Frear's take on the Lance Armstrong story. But when Stephen asked you in for the meeting, you didn't know what it was about, apparently.
No, it was kind of cloak and daggers, really. I suppose because it was a slightly controversial subject, and a few people were talking about developing Lance Armstrong's story at the time. So he said, I just want to come to my office and we'll talk about it. So I went to his office, wherever it was, and I had no idea what the film was about in any way or what it was. And he said, how much do you know about Lance Armstrong? And because I'm an actor, like, my kind of head started going in a 1,000 different directions, and I was like, can I play Lance Armstrong? I was like, of course I can. And I'm like, great character. You know, it really is that thing. And he's like, how much do you know about the Irish journalist David Walsh? That makes more sense. He's got the home base. So I play David Walsh, who the book 7 Deadly Sins, which the film is kind of based on, is where the film comes from. And he's the guy who's been chasing the truth, I guess, about Lance Armstrong's drug taking for so long. And
you had a kind of weird connection with David Walsh. It was before you started filming?
OK, so what happened was, after I came from this meeting with Stephen Frears, when he told me about the film for the first time, he had given me the book, which the film is based on, and I had been kind of devouring it, and it's great, a wonderful kind of journalistic story. And I went out for dinner with Dawn.
The other Dawn?
No, you. Yes, I went out for dinner with my wife, and I was kind of telling her the whole story, and it's terrific. It's a very engaging kind of tale. And we had a few drinks, and we had some food in Bermondsey, where we were living at the time, and this girl came over with her husband, and she said, listen, I'm really sorry for interrupting you. And that happens a lot at restaurants when you're around. And so I tried to make a joke about people wanting photos or whatever. So I said, but you want a foursome? And she said, no. I was listening to you talking about this story about David Walsh. I'm his daughter. I'm like,
what are the chances?
Unbelievable. And so sorry about the foursome thing. It was just like a boring joke that I would do a lot. And
however, the offer is still on.
Well, so we've got a clip. This is one of the kind of notorious press conferences where Lance Armstrong is starting to feel the heat.
Next question.
David Walsh, Sunday Times.
Mr. Walsh, good to see you here.
Lance, do you feel a responsibility personally to promote a better image for cycling? And if so, how do you reconcile that with your doctor/trainer being so associated with doping?
You're talking about Dr. Ferrari?
I am.
Right. Okay. I'm confident in my relationship with Dr. Ferrari. I believe he's an honest man. I believe he's a fair man. I believe he's an innocent man. You know, people are smart. People will look at the facts. People will say, okay, here's Lance Armstrong. Here's a relationship. Is that questionable? Perhaps. Will they say, Lance Armstrong tested positive? No. Because I have never tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Has Lance Armstrong been tested? Absolutely. I am the most tested athlete on the face of the planet. Is there now a test for EPO? Yes, there is. Will he pass every test because he does not take EPO? Yes, he will. Next question, please.
It's an incredible story. It really is. Yeah.
You know, spoiler alert, it turns out he was taken.
He's what we in Cornwall like to call a bastard liard.
But listen, we must also mention Moon Boy. You've written a book, the second Moon Boy book.
Yes.
The Fish Detective.
The Fish Detective, yeah, for a kind of slightly younger audience, but it's really fun.
And you co-wrote it with Nick.
With Nick, yeah, who writes the TV series with me, yeah.
And the whole thing with Moon Boy, you sort of began it... revenge is a big word, but as revenge on your sisters.
Well, I mean, I don't want to... It's harsh because they're wonderful women. As girls, as I was as a boy, you know, tough, strong country women. Like, there are knife marks on my fingers, and I'm not even... This is just... One of them went at me with a knife, and I asked her about it years later, why did she attack me with a knife, and she couldn't remember. So, yeah. But every now and again, I'll get a text from one of them when they've just seen an episode, and they're like, I wasn't like that. And I'm like, well, you did do that. And they're like, yeah, we did do all of that.
Because, Colin, you grew up with a lot of sisters as well, didn't you?
Yeah, well, 2.
Oh, only 2?
Yeah. So
because I've heard you in interviews. It sounds like there were more, because they were...
Oh, they both had voices in their heads, so...
But they did give you quite a tough time, didn't they?
They do, yeah. Well, I had one sister who used to rat on me. She still says she didn't, but I remember her mantra when we were growing up was, I'm going to tell Mom. Then the other sister was a really fast 100-metre sprinter, and that translated in how she treated me to kicking me up the arse on the regular with the most powerful left. I used to remember seeing her heel come over her shoulder. And then the torque, and then she'd let it go. That was our sweet Catherine.
What sort of sister were you, Dawn?
Yeah, I was a pretty good sister, I think. I was a bit attention-seeking, I think. Quite violent. My brother and I, still to this day, cannot sit next to each other without violence happening. You know, it's friendly violence, but it starts with you know, this and a bit of that, and then a bit of Chinese burn, and then a bit more, and a bit more. But, you know, we are full-on wrestling. and it really is almost to the death, and it has to happen. It's just automatic. Our kids find it very strange and a bit sinister.
See, Rachel, you were very well behaved, weren't you? I imagine you were very well behaved always.
I was very, very naughty.
Were you really?
It's what you're meant to do when you're a child and adolescent, isn't it? I got expelled from school and...
Did you?
Yes!
What did you do?
Always, my mother always says, you weren't expelled, you were asked to leave.
And you accept it.
Yeah.
What did you do? Can you tell us? Was it terrible?
Well, there wasn't one big event. I didn't try and set the school on fire or, you know... It was just... I had an authority issue, so I didn't believe that anyone had the right to tell me what to do, so I would just disrupt classes and answer back. I just was very, very, very disruptive. Yeah.
Wow.
Good for you.
And have you got over it? Because it must be quite hard. With directors and things, is that quite hard if you don't like being told what to do?
Well, now I don't mind a bit of authority. I'm all right with it now.
Hello.
Just
Oh, you flirt. And we have to mention, because this is fabulous, Dawn French, you are going into London's glittering West End.
I am.
In your one-woman show.
I am.
Which is called 30 Million Minutes.
Correct.
Now, you toured this before.
I did.
But is it exactly, it's going to be the same show? And...
It's pretty much the same show because, you know, it took me a while to write that show and I took it all the way around the country and really loved doing it. And I thought, well, why haven't I done it in London? And in fact, I'm going to Australia with it straight after Christmas, so we've only got a month that we can do it in London before we have to put the set on a ship and it goes to the other side of the world. So we're doing it at the Vaudeville for a month in November. But in fact, it's going really well, so we've put some extra nights on now, which is good.
Right. And now, for you, because you're on stage alone...
Yeah.
You know, because beforehand you were always on stage with Jennifer.
I know.
Which, is that
Oh, it's very odd. I miss her enormously, actually. Or I did when I first started. If she walked on the stage now, frankly, I'd punch her. But when we started rehearsing, I did it with Michael Grandage, you know, he directed it, and he kept saying to me, why aren't you standing in the middle of the stage? I said, because another bird stands there. That's where she should be. And he's like, no, come on, go in the middle of the stage. But, you know, I do that now.
No, because, Rachel, you had that experience. You were on Broadway, but with your husband.
Yeah.
And actually, I should say, Daniel Craig's going to be sat right there next week.
We're just keeping it warm for him.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
Does he have a film out?
A tiny little micro-budget indie film. Yeah.
I'm not sure I can forgive you, actually, Rachel, because you have come between me and Daniel.
Oh, no.
I've never met Daniel, but I decided he would be my husband, and then he decided on you. So I'm going to forgive you for that, but I've got some bitterness.
Do you know what you can buy? I've actually got one of those like screen visor things that you put up at the top that say Mrs. Daniel Craig. You know, those things you put, so you can buy them and you can... I've got one.
Well, no, wait a minute. You drive a car that says Mrs. Daniel Craig.
I don't keep it up all the time, but just now and again I'll... you know those sort of see-through...
Yeah.
That's a technical word.
I've got a good idea. You have the screen visor and I'll have Daniel.
But like that, were American audiences kind of weird about the two of you being on stage together because it's kind of, there's part of it's real and part of it's not real? Because you were playing husband and wife.
We were playing husband and wife in a Pinter play called Betrayal, where the husband, I'm sleeping with his best friend. But yeah, I mean, Broadway is, I'd never done it before. It's that weird, it's culturally different to England in that when a famous person comes onto the stage, even if it's the middle of a scene, they've come in the second act, there's a huge round of applause. So it's like, whoa, it's very odd. I think in Japan people shout things out.
Really?
Every country has something different. In England we just wait to the end to
Yeah.
clap, which seems really logical to me.
We reach for the Maltesers.
What do you do when people applaud? Do you
have to
accept,
wait.
You just
You have to
stand there in
wait.
character?
You have to wait, yeah. And obviously Daniel gets a really big one.
Yeah.
I've forgotten. I mean, I didn't
Again,
realise.
don't clip that.
Now you have to clip. I want to be ridden like a pony.
It's time for our musical guest tonight. Now, this man is a Grammy-winning rock and roll icon. He sold over 200 million records worldwide. He's now back with his 29th studio album, Another Country. Please welcome the great Rod Stewart! Very good. Hello, sir. You were on with Dawn before, weren't you?
Yes.
Yes.
We did.
Yes.
Have you mentioned the footballs this evening? The three Republican boys?
That's right.
Oh,
What
yes.
sort of a show am I on?
Not that show. Can I just say, the two of them look as clueless as I am.
Why it make you feel bad?
No, because you put Scotland out.
That's right.
But you've done so well, and you don't know what I'm talking about.
Is it the egg one or the round one?
It's the round ones.
They're all going on. They're all going on. I know. Hey,
It's like Gary Lineker.
we are one BBC. Gary's sick, I fill in. Yeah. Now, Rod Stewart, you're back. This is your second album of new material.
Yes, indeed.
Another Country, that on the 30th of October. And now you say you got your kind of songwriting mojo back.
Yeah, I did. It sort of left me for 10 years or 15 years. But in that time, I made the Great American Songbook.
Yeah.
So I wasn't, like, sitting on my bum.
No, and they did incredibly well.
They did, 28 million, but then...
Wow.
Yeah, indeed.
28 million?
And that was you stepping away.
Then I put the book together, Rod, autobiography, and suddenly I realised I had so much to write about. So I wrote songs about my dad, my family, everything, show business, the lot.
And you're back on tour?
Indeed, yes.
But like
I've never
proper...
stopped touring. I love it.
No, but this starts June next year.
Yeah.
And I suppose the challenge is, because you have all these hits, that you've all these die-hard fans, and now you're going to be trying to introduce new songs.
No, bollocks, I don't do that.
What, you'll never hear this song again?
I give the people what they want to hear, and then add 2 or 3 new ones in there. But basically, they want to hear all the hits. If my heroes were alive, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, I would want to hear the songs that made them famous.
Yeah, but the song you're going to sing, it struck me with the 3 Irish guys. Am I wrong? It has a kind
Just
of an
better
Irish...
not be new. That's all I know. Better not be new.
No, no.
I just want the old shit.
Well, you want the old one. No, it's called Love Is, but it does have an Irish feel to it.
It's very Gaelic, very Celtic, yeah. 4 on the floor with a banjo and the tambourines.
Nice.
And it's brilliant.
You should know, my mother knew that I was going to be on tonight with Rod, and so she texted me saying, tell him I'll see him in Kilkenny.
Kilkenny, oh, be Jesus.
But she said, tell him I'll see him in Kilkenny, wink, wink.
Is she really going?
Yeah, she's really going, yeah.
Exchange numbers, I'll take care, we'll do meet and greet and everything.
Don't do it, Chris, don't do it.
That's amazing. Thank you very
absolutely, you got
much.
it.
She is going to lock you up.
All right, well, why don't you give Chris's mom a taste of what's in store if you go over and join your band.
Shall I go behind this?
Yeah, go behind. There you go.
My mum's obsessed with you.
Yeah, see, Rod? Yeah.
She is.
Well, I'll lap her up. OK. Shortly, we'll have this week's stories from the Big Red Chair. But first, performing Love Is, ladies and gentlemen, it is Rod Stewart! Mr. Rod Stewart, everybody! Brilliant. Thank you very much. You have a little seat there, and we'll just go out here in a second. See? See, you can Yeah.
Thank you.
Irish, sounded Irish. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
OK, before we go, just time for a visit to the Big Red Chair. Who is there? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, you're getting whoops from the crowd. What's your name?
My name's Oliver.
Oliver, lovely. And where are you from, Oliver?
Northampton, but I live here.
OK. Oh, there's rounds of applause for you. What do you do here?
I work in events.
In events?
Yeah.
Do you organise them?
Corporate events, yeah.
You organise them?
Yeah.
OK. Oh, the couch are so not impressed by the man who organises corporate events. He might organise good ones.
They are good, they are good.
He's terrified.
Oh, is he? No, he's not. He's fine. He organises corporate events. Look at
You
him.
know what? I just hate Northampton.
OK, off you go with this story.
Okay, so when I was younger, people always used to tell me that I looked like Zac Efron. Oh. So I was on a flight to Canada, and this guy comes over to me.
You got past that.
Keep going. You're on a flight.
This guy comes over to me, and he's like, oh, my daughter loves you. Can I get your autograph? And I was like, oh, yeah, OK. I'm not really him, but let's go with it. And then he pulls out this violin, and it was a gift to his daughter they'd been to London to buy. So I was like, oh, you want me to sign the violin? He's like, yeah. And I was like, I don't think this pen's really going to write on this violin. He was like, yeah. So
That's good.
I ended up carving Zac Efron's signature.
No! That's really good.
So
That's good. That is good. Can he walk? That's good. You can walk. That's an excellent story. OK, who's up next? Hello. What's your name?
John.
John. And where are you from, John?
Ireland.
He is from the island of Ireland.
I've heard it.
Whereabouts?
The West.
The West. OK. And where do you still live there, or you live here now?
No, I live
What
here.
I don't get is, like, on a night like tonight, when there's 3 Irishmen here, he's like, you won't understand it if I tell you where I am.
OK, off you go with your story.
Okay, so this
Is it John? Is it John?
It's John, yeah.
John. It's John from the West.
Hey, Sean!
It's John West. I thought it's not something. OK.
Okay, so this happened about 20 years ago when I was about 10 years old at the time. So my parents were heading out for the evening, so they called up Jenny, who was our babysitter at the time, to look after myself, my sister, and my 2 brothers. But Jenny was busy, she told them, but she said that our younger brother could babysit instead. Now, my mum wasn't too keen on this idea because her brother was only like 13 or 14 at the time. But she eventually agreed when Jenny insisted that he was a really sensible, very mature young man. That turned out to be a complete lie. So as soon as my parents left, we destroyed the house. And they came home early that evening, and my mum walked into the kitchen and then stood there in a stunned silence as she looked around and saw the curtains had been ripped off the wall. There was smashed glasses and plates. There was paint splattered on the floor. My brother had a bloody nose. I had clumps of hair missing because I tried to give myself a haircut. And she stood there for what seemed like an age until she finally turned to the babysitter and she said, "You are in real trouble, Chris O'Dowd, when I tell your mother about this."
Is it really you? Is it really you?
As it was going on, as it kept progressing, I was like, I don't like the sound. We've all been through a lot.
Is that really you?
All right, John.
Go to walk, surely.
Gotta walk.
Yeah, go to walk, go to walk. Very good. Thank you very much. If you let him go, the start of the big at this very address. That is it for tonight. Please say a huge thank you to my guest, Mr. Rod Stewart, everybody. Chris O'Dowd. Dawn French. Rachel Weisz. And Mr. Colin Farrell. Join me next week with superstar singer Sam Smith, actress Naomi Harris, Oscar winner Christoph Waltz, and James Bond himself, Daniel Craig. I'll see you then. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Tackling Sri Lankan martial arts.